Abbey of Regina Laudis, Mother Dolores here.
Hi, Mother Dolores Hart. This is Terry and Tiffany from Crag Radio. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Well, good. Let me do the official introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked a little bit about her before we started this call, but we are very excited to welcome Mother Dolores Hart to our show. She is joining us to talk about her newer book, The Ear of the Heart, An Actress's Journey from Hollywood to Holy Vows. You're on the air live with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome.
Very nice. Thank you.
I'm so honored that you're on the show with us. I know you are definitely so busy and have so many things to do, but to have some of your time, it's just a great honor.
Well, thank you, and that's mutual, I know. I've been told about your show, too. You reach a lot of people.
Yeah, we try, and we think that sometimes we definitely need to have guests on who can bring people to a higher consciousness, as you would say. So.
Well, we will pray that happens, believe me.
Absolutely. What I want you to do is I want you to tell people, I want to start right off the bat here talking about your book. Now, why did you decide to write this book, Mother Dolores?
Well, it was funny because I had no intention of doing it until I talked to my friend Dick Danute, who has been a comrade and a friend to help me in many things since 1958 when I first went to Hollywood. About 10 years in the conversation, Dick said to me, you'd better do your memoirs soon, because pretty soon you'll be too old to remember anything.
Well, I'll tell you, you look better and you get around. I'm only in my 50s, and you're very spry. I'm telling you, I mean, your
well,
daily...
it's nothing like that kind of a challenge to put you on your bicycle, believe me.
Now, I'm trying to give everybody an idea. Now, you're Roman Catholic, and the type of nun you are, I believe they call Benedictine nun. Is that right?
That's correct, and we are actually the complement to the Benedictine monks, because our community is monastic, which is a different slant on what they call cloistered or conventual. We have a definite enclosure, but it's a land enclosure. We have 400 acres of land, and we are self-sustaining on that land, and we have clear lines in which the community is held, and then our guests, because one of our very important works is to have a place to offer hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I actually got a chance to see the HBO documentary that was made on you, God is the Bigger Elvis, and I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that surprised me is, I really didn't understand about your parish there, and being out in basically a rural area the way it was. I always envisioned this big, fancy Catholic church and that, and you're really out there in the country. And I was surprised to see that you and all your sisters actually ride the tractors and do the plowing and the whole thing.
Absolutely. And when the community couldn't do this, 3 of them went to school, to Yukon, to get degrees in land management, in the management of the animal farms, and farming, and also how to handle the different kinds of soil. And so we do have now sisters who are very keen in those areas, who really do know what they're doing and can invite the younger ones to come into their area and to partake of their own knowledge.
Wow.
Now, I wanted to talk about one of the things you said that you guys do there is that you have the ability to offer hospitality, and kind of tell our audience, because that hospitality was one of the things that kind of led you into the nunhood, because you actually visited there when you were an actress, correct?
That's right. That's right. Well, hospitality is an ancient part of Benedictine monastic life, and it's really based on that truth of communication, that if you can be in communication in some way with the world, in which you can take on the suffering of people, and you can't invite the whole world to come because you only have a very limited number of houses and things like that, but at least you have the context for allowing people to come to give a first-hand witness to the struggles that are going on in the world. And therefore praying isn't just a mental construct, but it's praying in relationship. And I think that's something that I've always treasured in a monastic household, is the capacity the community has to hold the situations of the people and to bring those to the altar.
Well, I was really surprised when I saw the documentary, because I was talking to my daughter, and she's the other host here, and I was, we always wonder if somebody's going to be on a cell phone or somebody's going to be on a landline, because a landline always sounds better. And I was saying to her, well, I don't think they have cell phones, I don't think they have computers, but I noticed that you have computers and everything in your office, and a little bit up with the times, right?
Well, at a certain time in the development of the monastery, I guess it was probably in the 60s and the 70s, when computer life began to take hold, we knew from the postulants who came in that unless we were digitally alive, there wouldn't be an access to very important things that we needed to know, and also it was a big help in communicating with people. And also a cell phone, a number of people have them, but a lot of it is just so we know where to reach persons, how to get in touch with them. If somebody's out on the land doing something, we can reach them right away, whereas 50 years ago somebody had to go walking out to get them.
Wow. Well, it's such an honor, as I said, to talk to somebody that's from the classic days of Hollywood, because unfortunately there's not a whole lot of people that's left around, but I have so much respect for you, because you really had it all, and you just felt a higher calling, and you gave it all up. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened and why? Well,
I tell you, in the 7 years that I was in Hollywood, I had 10 motion pictures, a year on Broadway, and time in television, because the work just came, one thing right after the other. And I was also held by a wonderful boss, Hal Wallace, who had me under contract. And those that made something possible, which I really feel was a gift of the Lord, that my career was held by people who became friends to me and who really wanted to do their best to keep a kid moving. And I was only a kid. I was 18 when I signed with Mr. Wallace. And he gave me this contract for 7 years and then renewed it again. So I think that my instinct always, since I was a little kid, 7 years old, was always wanting to be an actress. Because my daddy was, my uncle was, I mean, it was sort of in the blood of the family. And so it didn't seem to be foreign. And then when my mother, when they actually moved to Los Angeles, I was just, practically a half hour from every major motion picture company. So it didn't feel foreign or far out. It felt like something that if I wanted badly enough, I just had to work for it. Right. Unfortunately, I did something in my first year in college. I played a part of St. Joan, and did that with Loyola University, who was doing the play. And talent scouts came to see the play, and that's how I was chosen to go into Paramount to read for a new motion picture they were doing. And that motion picture was Loving You, and fortunately I got the part. I did not realize the implications of what was happening.
Oh yeah, you just happened to be cast opposite Elvis Presley. That's
right.
all.
That's right. And when he introduced himself, I said to him, "Well, what do you do?" Because I just didn't. I was in a completely other world, and I didn't understand the guy who was just on Ed Sullivan 5 days before we met.
Right.
Well, it's really bizarre. I don't know like how many Elvis movies you've seen, and you've told the press that you didn't have a romantic relationship with Elvis, but there's a movie he did, which was his very last film, which was called Change of Habit. And in this movie, he's in love with a young lady, Mary Tyler Moore, the actress from the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Dick Van Dyke Show, and he finds out that she's a nun. And your life, in a way, kind of paralleled that. I mean, they didn't turn around and base that on you or anything, did they, that you know of?
No, not that I knew of. Not at all. I just think that Elvis, when I knew him, was a very rich young man in terms of his knowledge of the Bible.
Yes.
And he really loved his church, and I respected in him that the deep holiness that came out when he sang the gospel music. We sometimes had to wait in a hotel area for one of the scenes, and he would always go and get the Gideon Bible and open it and say, Mother, not Miss Dolores, was what he called me. What do you think of this? What is he saying? What do you think? And then he would give his opinion, and that was just part of him. So I think that and he also confided to me that he wanted to be the next Jimmy Dean, because the part in King Creole really took him on and made him feel very much like a real actor.
Right.
And that's the kind of parts he wanted.
Right.
That's for sure. Somebody recently said on the air that they thought that Elvis liked the more silly kind of beach party films, but I think he really liked the serious stuff.
He did. And I think that his people in charge of him didn't give him too much to chew his teeth in.
Well, I know your life was definitely planned out. I mean, from the day you were born, okay, God knew what he wanted you to do. And it was really strange the way it kind of paralleled, because you was in a film that you played Francis of Assisi in 1961, where you played St. Clair of Assisi. Do you think that maybe that was kind of like foretelling you what was going to come later on in your life?
Well, I think that is certainly, in retrospect, I can see that living in Assisi during the months that we had to make that film, that really helped me a great deal to formulate and to take hold of my calls from the Lord when it came. But actually, playing the film Lisa, which is the one I did right after St. Francis, when I think about it, I think that was a film that really, let's say, landed the fish, because this was about a girl who had been, she had been in Auschwitz as a medical experiment for the Nazi regime. And when she escaped, she was counting on the help of the young man who was Stephen Boyd to help her get back to Israel. And the thought of playing a girl who had been through that, just for the first time in my life, made me aware of what redemption had to be, that we do have to pay for the sins of the fathers. You know, that there's no way you can just jump into that kind of a film. And my friends introduced me to a woman who had been in Auschwitz from the time of 14 years on, and sharing with her was a very deep and poignant experience.
I'm sure. You know, another parallel, and I keep saying this even though you had nothing to do with the film, to change a habit, was the fact that when you turned around and basically gave up Hollywood and you went to the monastery, you were engaged.
That's right.
Can you tell us?
Before we go on, Mother Hart, I just wanted to say that in reading your story and watching the documentary, and I'm sure many young women my age probably feel the same way, your relationship with Don, that's what real love is. Somebody that even if you can't physically be together, is with you for so many decades. Was just amazing to me.
It brought me to tears because we watched the HBO thing last night, the documentary on you, and all these years, and you two couldn't have physical love together, but you still loved each other, and he loved you, and still came to visit you at the parish every year. Can you talk a little bit about Don?
Oh, yes. Yes, I mean, when I first, well, actually I have to go back a moment, because Don and I were invited to an engagement party, and after that party, he said to me, "You just simply weren't there. You don't seem to be, this isn't where you are. Why don't you go to that monastery and find out what's going on in your mind?" Because, and he didn't know that I was thinking of entering the monastery. He just knew that I went there to pull things together at times. Well, the very next day, I went to Regina Laudis and talked to Reverend Mother, and it was at that time that I knew this is what I had to do. So when I came back and told Don that what I wanted to do was enter the monastery, I've never seen such an angry man. Oh, he hit the ceiling. And then, when he came to himself, he said, "You know, I just want you to know that every love relationship doesn't end at the altar. I'm going to stay with you through this." And I said, "Don, you don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. You have your own life." And he said, "I know I do, but I love you." And my heart just broke, because I knew what I was asking of him. But in the final analysis, Don did not remarry, or I don't say remarry, he never married. And he stayed to be a friend. He came to see me every year. He would send things to the monastery when he knew we needed them. In fact, the cell phone that I got was his gift. And he was just such a loyal and loving person. When he died 18 months ago, I just couldn't believe it. And the way that he died was so unbelievable to me, because I had stepped back off a ladder in late November and fallen and had a concussion. Oh. And the doctor said to me, "You realize, Mother, that if you had hit just a half inch higher, you would have been dead right now." And I said, "Well, thank God, doctor, that I didn't. It's really true." I said, "But I'm not going to tell Don about this. I don't want him to be upset." So I never told him what had happened. And 2 weeks passed, and I didn't hear from him. And then I got a call from his sister, Kathy Cole, and she said, "Dolores, I hate to tell you this, but last night Don fell from a ladder and had a concussion, and died.
Oh.
Well, you know, you just say, what kind of communication and relationship happens in this kind of truth? Right. You just know that this relationship was meant forever, not just for a period of time.
Right.
No, there's one thing that I know, and that's love never dies, and it's everlasting. And wow, you've got me at a loss for words right now.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You know, I read in the notes here that you actually had a meeting with the Pope, and the Pope actually had a part in bringing you to where you are with your parish.
Oh, well, this was Pope John the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And Monsignor Carew was the person I knew in the Vatican at that time, and he said, Dolores, I really think we have a possibility of meeting the Holy Father if you would come with me to this great meeting hall where he's going to come in and talk to the people. And so we went, but just as we came in the room, the Holy Father was being carried in, as they used to do, by the four, I don't remember what they call them now, the men at the Vatican. Mm-hmm. And one of his shoes tumbled off his foot and rolled underneath the chair. Well, the Holy Father started to laugh. You know, he thought that was so funny, because the men had to set him down and then get on their hands and knees to look under the chair to find his shoe. And Monsignor Carew said to me, "This is our moment, let's go." I said, "What?" And he said, "Let's go and meet him."
Right.
So he took me over, and as we went over to the Holy Father, he took my hand, and he said, "Oh, Chiara." And I said, "Oh, no, Your Excellency, my name is Dolores." And he said, "Oh, no, for you is Chiara. For you is Chiara." Well, I mean, what are you going to do, argue with him?
Definitely the head man, the Pope. He's a great person.
Yes.
Wow. That had to be such an honor for you. I understand, too, I read in your notes that when you first told the Abbey that you were like wanting to join, they said they didn't think it was a good time, but then later on they actually wrote you the letter, and that's when you were kind of like in the last films that you were doing, and said, if you're going to do this, now is the time. What rushed through your head at the time?
Well, I had the letter that came, and I was just about to go and mail a letter to Mother Benedict to tell her, well, I will come and we'll see. And I tell you, I couldn't make this up. I was at the mailbox when Don's car pulled up, and he waved to me and said, "Hey, come on over." I put the letter back into my pocket and went over, and he said, "Let's take a ride." And we went to this place where we often have lunch, and that's when he said, would I be engaged to him?
Wow.
And I said, "Don, give me 6 months, will you? Can we make a 6-month engagement? Let me think this over." Because I didn't know what to do. I certainly couldn't mail the letter at that point. I just knew I had to take some time and let this thing work out.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to take a moment to have you talk about, it's kind of two things. And I know that one of the things that I found interesting that I read is that every summer the Abbey puts on a stage musical. And I would assume that it's, for the public and potentially, I wanted to find out, is that also to raise money? Because I know that the book, part of the proceeds go towards helping the Abbey, because I am understanding you guys need some renovations done there.
Well, we were going to do a new bakery, and the police department came and told us, "Do you realize that you are under code. We have been holding this for years, not wanting to put pressure on you, but you can't build any more until you repair your building and bring it up to code. And we said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, you better get an architect in here and see what I mean and see what it is you need to do. Well, the architect came and talked to us, and the price on it was $4 million.
Wow.
And we said, how can we face this? And he said, well, we can do it in 4 stages. And that way, maybe you can get money, you can get donations, you can do whatever you can. So we started that way. Well, as it's turning out, we have done the first $1 million of repair and restoration. So we still have 3 more to go.
Wow.
So I guess we just have to hope that we all live long enough to make it happen.
Well, considering all the Elvis Presley fans that's out there, and anybody that loved your movies as I did, I mean, like Where the Boys Are. I mean, Where the Boys Are was such a classic in the fact that there was all these kind of teen movies that really didn't have a message, and Where the Boys Are had a message because it had tragedy and it had healing, and it was a movie that you must have been proud to be in. If anybody has enjoyed those, they need to buy your book, because this is something that's really, really important. Even in the past, the way I understand, didn't some of your Hollywood friends help you with the original building of a theater? Weren't you involved with Paul Newman?
Yes.
And Patricia Neal?
Yes, indeed. Patricia Neal came to our fair. We don't have those anymore because they were, every summer, it got to the point where so many people, we couldn't keep it up. But she would come every year and sell. We wrote a book with her in 1982 to 87, and Dick helped me write that book with her. That was one way that we got to know one another in terms of writing books. And the book As I Am was the story of her life, and she sold it here at the fair every year until she died. I mean, she was, and Patricia Neal is buried in our cemetery.
Really? Because
in the very last hours of her life, she asked to become Catholic and to know if she could be buried here.
Wow.
So it's, you just wonder at the goodness and the fullness of the human spirit in that one incident. And because of Patricia, we asked if, when she was so ill and was ready to give up her career, we begged her to please do something from Helen Keller, which she loved so much. And so she did on the hillside under a tent, and it drew lots of people that year. But at the very end of it, a thunderstorm came and practically knocked the tent down. And she turned to me and she said, I will never do this again here. You must build a theater.
Wow. It's very interesting to me that even though you have the life that you have, that you still do maintain some ties with Hollywood. I guess you're still a member of the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and you vote on the Oscars, is that right?
Yes, indeed, and that was an invitation. I got into the Academy in 1960 after Where the Boys Are. If you'll, just to say how much that picture meant to the public and to Hollywood, that's when they invited me into the Academy. And when I entered the monastery, they said I could keep like secondary relationship, but I wouldn't actually vote. In 1990, when I had been here 25 years, Carl Malden was the president of the Academy. So he called and said, do you think you could restore your membership and become a full member again? And the abbot said, of course, I don't think anything's going to bother now. So that's when I started to do it again. And they send me all of the films on discs. And they even sent me a disc machine because I said I didn't know how to play them.
Well, you know, if I was the Academy, I'd be afraid to send you some of those racy films that they put out now.
Oh, you know, the thing is, you look at something like that long enough, and you know it's not going to win.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't have the acting ability. It's just done for sensationalism. I mean, once you've seen what do you say, a naked butt, you've seen them all.
Well, let me ask you.
I mean, if you look at it that way, if you're in love with the person, it's a different thing.
Right.
But when you do it like that on the screen, it's pretty disgusting.
Yes. Well, let me ask you. I don't know what categories you do or do not vote in, but actually, the documentary "God Is the Bigger Elvis" was nominated for an Academy Award in 2012 for Best Documentary. Did you kind of get to vote for your own film then?
Well, actually, I was asked to go to the Oscars in Hollywood for the presentation, and of course, I voted for my own film, but I wanted it to win, not because of me, but because the folks who had done it, HBO, they were so great when they came into our house and when they worked with us. They were so courteous and so careful to enter with dignity. I will never forget them for that. And I just wish they would have won because I felt they deserved it.
Yes.
I don't think I had much of a performance there. I just talked about what happened.
Well, I wish more actresses would write you for advice because you could certainly help save a few souls because Hollywood is kind of out of control right now, isn't it? I mean, seriously, like, it's all different now than it was back in your day, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Wow.
It's not it was in those days. It was like the golden years. It was the beginning, and there was a certain quality of life. And I fear that it's just because of the fact that we are in a digital age, and everything can be sent to anybody in 5 minutes. There's no real. There's no stardom in it, and I think it needs that quality.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to put this question. It's going around in my head. There's been a lot of people that were in entertainment that wound up finding religion, and it's so great. Okay, B.J. Thomas and singers like that, and of course Elvis was a religious man. It's a great thing that God picks certain celebrities to be able to bring a message to the masses because they are known and they might listen to them to where they wouldn't listen to somebody else. How much of you does that? I mean, are you like Mother Dolores Hart and you're who you are, or do you sometimes reach out to fans of yours, fans of Elvis's? I mean, do you turn around and talk to them knowing that you're in a position to do so?
Well, you see, I'm in a monastery, and I chose monastic life, and there are certain qualities of being monastic that you can't just jump over because you were a celebrity.
Right.
You have to maintain the honesty and the dignity of the life itself, and I can't just pick up the phone and talk to anybody anytime or see anybody in the parlor any more than any of the nuns here would. If there's a circumstance which calls for it, then there's definitely a reach out. Like when the Ignatius Press people said, if you sign with us, we ask you to do a tour for your book because it will help it. Your person will help it in a way that nothing else can. And the abbess said, I give you permission, and we'll ask the archbishop, who also gave his consent, for me to take the tour. And so, from that standpoint, I have been on the whole coast of California, from Los Angeles up to San Francisco, to Napa, and then to Colorado, and then down in Texas, and I mean, I've covered so many places, in the United States in the last 3 months, I don't think I've ever had that much exposure, even when I was in films.
Well, I think it's really great that the Catholic Church is really working with you on this, because I kind of think probably in the olden days they might have frowned on it a little. I think they were maybe a lot stricter back then, and they've kind of like...
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think because there is... I mean, Archbishop Mansell is a wonderful man and sees what I'm up against, and has been so helpful ever since he became the Archbishop of Connecticut, or Hartford. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. I do.
Well, originally, when you were first getting connected with the Abbey, you had told the founder that being an actress is kind of all behind you, and she said that you're completely wrong, because now you have to take up a role and really work at it. So in a way, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, I want to encourage everyone to check out Mother Hart's book. It's called The Ear of the Heart, An Actress's Journey from Hollywood to Holy Vows. And if you're trying to find it, you can either just put it in Google on the internet, or you can go to ignatius.com, and it's over there available for purchase. And also, Mother Dolores, I wanted to find out if one of our listeners wants to donate to the Abbey, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they can just send their offering to the Abbey of Regina Laudis, Bethlehem, Connecticut, in care of myself, and it will come to me. 06751 is our mail number, or they can go. We have a website too, which they can visit. The website is theearoftheheart.com, and that can also tell persons, or the abbeyvirginalaudis.com. And there's many, but that's another website that feeds into the Ear of the Heart, and it all refers back to our system and how people could relate to us, or if they so care to send a donation, that would be wonderful.
I certainly encourage everyone, because it's all nice and it's all fun to buy a DVD and see a movie or this, that. This is so important. This is so important to me. If you've ever done anything for me, all my listeners out there, please donate. Because even if we can get George Hamilton, who's your old co-star, and if he could just not go to those tanning salons for just a year and send the money to you, you would have it made.
And I also want to mention that I was very excited when we were chatting this evening, Mother Hart, to hear your parrot in the background, because I saw him dance in the documentary, and I just giggled so hard, and I can hear him sitting there by you. So please give him a kiss for me.
Oh, Toby, do you hear that? He heard who you were.
He's incredible. I saw in the documentary you were playing classical music, and he didn't like it. You turned it off. You played his little toy, and he started dancing.
Yes, indeed. He's very, he loves to, he likes nightlife, too. Don't you, Tom?
There you go. Thank you so much, and God bless you and the parish and everything that you are all doing there for everyone. I mean, to me, as a fan of yours and somebody that has enjoyed the classic days of Hollywood, to know what you gave up to find your greater calling. I mean, how many actresses would do almost anything to get where you were? And I respect you so much that you did what you did, and I want everybody to please help.
Well, I thank you. That's very dear, both of you. This is one of the most enjoyable times I've ever had in an interview, and I mean that from the heart.
Wow.
So if you ever want to come as our guest, we'd love to see you.
I would so love if I could become a nun. I would join your parish, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I'd even be willing to cut my hair and the whole thing, but that's not going to happen.
Well,
no, I wouldn't ask you to go that far.
If we make it out to the East Coast in Connecticut, we would definitely love to stop by.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for joining us, and God bless.
Oh, you're very welcome. Good night and all my love.
Good night.
Good night.